welcome to Pointed Logic Tarot. I am so excited today to talk about my 1-year-long study of Marseille and the open style of reading tarot cards. My Marseille study is not done, but it has been exactly a year, so I wanted to talk about it because it started with a I'm going to do a Marseille for May month-long study, and it exploded into just one of the most fun tarot explorations I've done. Before we get started, I want to do a quick PSA. And I encourage other tarot YouTubers to do something similar, to share what kind of values and support for marginalized communities that you stand for. You should take a look at Kellyanne Maddox's recent short videos about some awful posts by a few people on Instagram, I think maybe also YouTube, but she started with a statement on it, and then I spoke with other folks who are also tarot video makers about some of the other things that they've seen online recently. If you post or say transphobic statements, Zionist statements, anti-Palestinian statements, fascist statements, or support fascists, or if you like or repost or support those who post those types of things, I want nothing to do with you. You are not welcome in the tarot space by me. Shame on you for holding that kind of intolerance and hate and judgment of others in your heart. Tarot is supposed to be a space for folks to connect in appreciation of art, the archetypes of humanity, and is a reflection of our real world. And our real world is full of intolerance, white supremacy, colonialism, and I am here to stand against those things. I'm a firm believer that witchcraft and related resistance and resistance movements are critical for our resiliency, our collective liberation, our evolution as a society into something more understanding and more supportive of our fellow humans. So I want to repeat that folks spewing that kind of hate, these screenshots are only a small sample, are not welcome in this space. So if you see those kind of things, speak out against it. Do not support creators or channels that spew that kind of rhetoric. And to those who spew it, definitely keep telling us who you are so we know which ones of you are bastions of the colonialist regimes. And for folks who say they don't like politics or don't want to get political or don't want tarot and politics to mix, I'm sorry, I don't know what world you're in. Everything we do is politicized. So you're either going to get engaged or get stomped on by those who are politicizing it and wielding power against us, against our humanness. So tarot is something that I'm going to utilize in my politics. All right, Marseille study. So I got on to this a year ago as something rooted in my desire to expand beyond RWS. Before this, I did get into reading playing cards, and that my playing card resource, which I have all these resources on this table I don't actually have next to me, was the Roger Horn book, The Cartomancy and Folk Witchcraft, and it has some Marseille commentary in it. So that sort of initially piqued my interest. I have always sort of been hesitant to dive in just because of the pips and the woodblock faces, kind of the usual biases around Marseille, I would think. But I dove in, starting with the New Choice Marseille. And I did this study, and I'm still continuing. We're almost done with the formal portion of the study, which is we have the majors left still to do. We actually started with the pips, which was, I think, one of the best choices ever, and I encourage other folks to maybe consider that. But yeah, so I did this study with my tarot friend Lulu, and she knows a ton more about Marseille than I do, and I have just been soaking up her wealth of information. We've been sharing resources, sending pictures of various things and readings on Marseille, and then chatting. We didn't do it once a week because in the middle of that year, I had a baby and took some time. But we have been chatting at least once a month, if not more than that, and lately more frequently on Marseille. And we did exercises and all that. So we're going to get into that. I'm going to first sort of go over the various decks I used in the study, and then talk about the little study guide I'm making, which is still not finished, unfortunately. And I will show an example of a reading where I'm combining playing cards and Marseille, just because I thought that was interesting too. So let's start with the decks, and then we'll get into the various reading materials and books. Okay, so I really wanted a Marseille deck that I loved the art of, and I settled on the New Choice Marseille. Now, I bought this used. This is the first edition. I bought it off eBay, but Rosario has released a third edition recently on Kickstarter. I didn't get the new version, but I did pitch in on the Kickstarter and got a couple of prints just to support his work. I really think this is a cool deck. And then I also was on the hunt for one that was at least modeled after a historic deck. This is the Maman Miyuki Tarot de Marseille. It was made in 2013 as a recreation of the Matinee. And I got this one off eBay as well, actually. This one, I feel like it's kind of like mass market in Japan. I'm not certain. Here's the little fold out that it comes with. But you can go to Mama Miyuki's website to learn a little bit more about this deck. I bought the small one because I wanted to do big readings with it, and I just think it's cute and portable. And then Rosario was kind enough to send me the third edition guidebook. I have the first edition guidebook that I bought used with this deck, but it had a few things missing from it that I knew got updated in this new edition. And when I got the prints on the Kickstarter, I messaged him and asked him if I could buy just the book, if there were any extras printed, because he said that he might have some extras, and he just gave it to me, which was super sweet. So let's flip through these real quick, just some of the cards you can see. This one is inspired by Berlin club culture. The world of fashion in certain Berliner underground clubs is what the back of the box says. And then this one is pretty classic, I would say. And I don't have the information in front of me, which I really should. But the matinee, I will put the date on the screen of when that one was created. This is one of the prints that I got. And I love the pips. I mean, I love the whole deck, but the pips are absolutely gorgeous in this deck. I like too the coloration. And then the other layer that I love is each card has, each pip card has a plant or a flower that is got a flower meaning layered in the book. So I put these both in order for the study, or at least the suit that we were discussing. And when I was doing the guide, which again isn't finished, I had this in order and was going through card by card. This one was a little bit more the one I was doing a lot of readings with. I also have 3 other historic decks here that are not Marseille, but they are related and interesting because it was fun to compare in my book resources that I'm going to get to in a second, the differences between these. So this is the Trieste. It's, oops, upside down. It's actually the one that the Marshmallow Marseille was based off of. I love the coloration in it. This is also called a Lombardy deck. I will link down below a really great video by Taproot Tarot on Lombardy decks. So the floral arrangement, and I mean maybe some of the pip arrangements are different, but it's pretty close. It certainly has influenced the style, and it's like on that lineage. This one's older, and this one was more, can I use the open reading style on these kind of pips? So the way we would do our study on a call is Lulu and I would bring some decks along with us and share pictures. And I would always bring the New Choice and the Mama and Miyuki, but then I would alternate what other like historic deck I might bring along just as a fun comparison as we would go through whatever the cups or the coins or the courts of various suits. And again, like I said, we're not quite finished. We're going to go through the majors now. Also, just some ASMR. I'm going to put this over by my microphone. I love the sound of this paper. It's just one of the most like lovely decks to handle and to use, although it's a little large. And then this one is a new addition to my collection. I don't have a video up on it on the channel yet. It's been on my list a good long while. I got it with a gift card. This is the Rosenwald. The particular version is a reproduction by Heather Hall. I will link her shop. Her stuff is really cool. She does mostly playing card decks, which obviously tarot is a playing card, and this is a Minchiati version. Also has really nice papery cardstock. And the Rosenwald is from the Rosenwald Sheets, one of the oldest known tarot decks and potentially the predecessor to something like a Visconti. These have bonus Minchiati cards added to it because, for example, the knights are centaurs, so they some folks believe that the deck was part of a Minchiati set, or just that it fits well within that. And this is a colorized version. Obviously, the original Rosenwald sheets did not have color images. This one's been really fun to do an open reading style on because it's quite different from the Marseille pattern. So these are examples of some of the historic decks that I compared with the Marseille decks I was using for this deck study. Okay, now let's review the materials I used to study in the first place. I did use this guidebook, but I wouldn't say it's a super beginner-friendly source because the interpretations are a little bit unique, and again, it has that flower layer meaning added, but I really like it, and I certainly used it in all of the readings. My top two favorite resources are the Gay Marseille guidebook, which I don't have the deck, but you can buy the book separately. So I did just buy the book from Charlie Claire Burgess. And then I have the ebook version of Tarot, the Open Reading by Yoav Ben-Dov. And what's really nice about this particular version is they are linked so you can jump around. And because we didn't do the study in any particular order, and it's a pretty big book, it's nice to be able to just quickly jump around to go find what you're looking for. And I have been writing on it and highlighting it and making notes as we go. This one is really cool because it gives you this certainly has been influenced by Ben-Dov's interpretations, and even it's funny that I opened to this page. It credits what portions of this guidebook are influenced by Ben-Dov's definitions, interpretations, or keywords, which I find very nice because some of the other resources don't actually credit where they're getting their information or if it's original, but a lot of them have been influenced by Ben-Dov. And this one also does have, so in their picture, it has in its description why, so for example, here's the biblically accurate angels woven into the Nine of Cups, which is really funny to me. And it explains why. And so these particular cards, which again, I don't have this deck, have sort of cheat code, little helpful hints on the interpretations woven into the cards. Ooh, and there are some historic images in here as well. This is a really digestible first resource. If you're looking to get into Marseille, whether or not you want the deck, I highly recommend picking up this book because it also does lean towards sort of more progressive interpretations, which I enjoy. The Ben-Dov book is just kind of a must-have. It is a super useful resource. I think the Conver, I actually, folks, please correct me in the comments. I'm not sure what cards are depicted in here. I know Ben-Dov had a specific deck made, but I don't remember the details on where it was designed, what it was based on. But it has, a big image. It describes the symbols. And what's really nice about it here, let me go to a pip card, is it really helps you take the design of the pips and utilize what you're seeing in the card to influence the interpretation. It's something that you do with scenic pips all of the time, but it's trickier to do on these decks, and it's really helpful. And lucky for me, the Matinee and the New Choice both utilize pretty much all of the things that Bendoff points out. Let's see here. Here we go. Number card interpretations. So an example here is this illustration shows 2 coins above a plant decoration which looks gathered and enclosed. A similar decoration appears on the top, more open and containing a 3rd coin. So that's the kind of description that you can sort of weave into your interpretation. And then there's an interpretation section, a productive outcome of an alliance or partnership, first results modest but real, potential starting to realize, interpersonal tensions eased by working together on a common project. And then there's an inverse, which is similar to a reversal. Results too small compared to the effort, collaboration ends in a disappointment. And each card gets 1 main keyword, which in this case is product for the 3 of coins. Let's go to like another suit here. So we'll look at the cups. So like a 4 of cups. Oh, see, here's some of my highlighting. The solid number 4 generates in the suit of cups a stable framework for emotional relationships such as a family or community. The illustration shows 4 cups in a square arrangement. The plant decorations connect them while giving each one its own place and create a central axis of stability and continuity. And then you get the interpretation. So it's really helpful and really good practice to use this resource or a resource that's similar, like the Game Marseille guidebook, where it describes the features in the pip cards, and that really, really helps with, using the ornamentation in the cards to better interpret them, rather than just saying, what's the keyword, memorize it, and match it. Let's see here. What other resources do I want to talk about? So I also used the Squid Cake guidebook. I don't have that deck either, but Lulu has it and often would share with me entries. And it's pretty easy to just search, and you can find the interpretations from the Squid Cake deck online. Similarly, the Pip Speak deck, which I don't have, but Lulu has, the author has a lot of really useful entries on her website, and the blog posts on her website that you can read. So there's a lot of great materials out there. I will link down below some of the other materials that we chatted about, or that Lulu would share entries from. Now let's talk about the guidebook I'm making for myself, and then we'll get into some example readings. So this is just my regular tarot journal, but I started making a Marseille guidebook in it, and then I still ended up filling up the rest of the journal here. So I'm on to my next journal because it's the same kind of paper. So I'm on my next one here, but I'm still working on finishing making my own guidebook. So let's look at the format I have created for that. Okay, so Marseille, it's color coded. The things that are written based on entries in Tarot the Open Reading are in blue. Stuff from the Game Marseille is in green, and stuff from Squid Cake is in pink. And then also at the bottom of each page, I will write the interpretations from the New Choice flowers that are in that guidebook at the bottom here. And this keyword is Bendov's keyword. And I just write what like really stands out to me from each of those resources. And my hope is once it's finished is when I do a reading and I want some help, this will be a really great guide to have next to me where I'm getting interpretations from several sources on how to read a Marseille card, a particular card. And it's really helpful because the consistency of Marseille interpretations varies quite a bit more, I think, than an RWS. Even though I also would say that a lot of RWS adjacent decks that use those interpretations as a base but go their own way might, deviate or lean numerological or elemental. And I certainly utilize numerology as like the heart and base of Marseille reading, which is something that the Bendov book and also the Roger J. Horn book on cartomancy both do as well. And as you can see, it is not quite finished. And I certainly haven't. The last thing I need to do is the majors. So I've written space for them in here, but have not finished it. And then I just, on the other end of my book, kept doing my regular readings that I write in my journal. And I know I need to come up with a better system than to just plunge my handmade guides into journals, because I have one for like my Flower Oracle deck, my Yanasi Yaus Tarot, and I think I might have some others, but they're just like in my various journals that I keep by year on my bookshelf. So it might be good for me to like take all of these out and then put them in one binder or something. But I just really like to do it as I work on it. And so they just sort of organically happen in the material, in my journals as I fill them out. All right, so now I'm in this journal, and when I do a reading, where is one? I often like to put the playing card pips as well, and I'm overlapping my playing card interpretations with Marseille and even Lenormand, because I'm trying to, it's sort of like Nellie's deck by Kelly Fitzgerald, where she has layered all of them on, although I think she did reorder or would you call it relinking? She like changed the associations of the Lenormand cards with the various playing cards. So I'm not doing that, but I am trying to sort of layer the interpretations of all of those decks together when I look at a reading. And it's not, I need to make every single one fit or rectify within a card, but it's that I have that menu in a card. So I thought it might be fun to do a little demo just so you can sort of see open style reading and how that works. I will confess I'm still a newbie at it, even after a year of sort of like learning Marseille and getting on really well with it and really enjoying it. Again, there's some other folks with lots of really great tarot Marseille tutorials and resources on YouTube, and I will link a few of those. Let me get my books out of the way, and we'll do, what do we want to do? We want to do a 4-card. Let's do a 4-card reading real quick here. This is with the Maman Miyuki Pocket Edition. I don't know if it's called a pocket or a mini, but you can still get this. I think you can actually buy it directly from Maman Miyuki's website, but it's a little bit challenging to get it shipped to the US that way, and it's pretty readily available on eBay. I know prices have jumped because of tariffs and all of that stuff, and just shipping has been a challenge. I got it before all that went down, so I feel very lucky that I got it for like, I don't know, $30 or something. Pretty reasonable. Okay. And there's several printings of this. So we've got Strength, 7 of Cups, 2 of Coins, and the Devil. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit, because it's pretty small. Okay. Also, my camera battery's dying, so I really need to finish this up. So when you do an open reading, you look at where the characters are looking in the reading, how the cards are influencing and connecting to each other, and what you have. So in this case, it's a very small reading. We have 2 majors. We have a coins card and we have cups. So what's missing is we don't have any wands or swords. So this is very emotion focused and physical, earthly focus. We have strength and the 7 of Cups on top. And in here we have 2 very clear rows of cups in alignment. And then we have 1 standing alone in the center. So it could be like center of attention, or all eyes on you, or it could be feeling left out or ostracized or not fitting in. I'm actually going to also just pull this guy out to give you sort of an example of how my little guidebook would work, because it's got snippets from all of those sources. So the 7 of Cups keyword from Bendov is individuality. So it talks about like that central cup representing an individual's relationship to a group. So uniqueness, social isolation, disharmony or conflict in a group. And so it's very much again, the emotions, and because of the size of the pip, right, it's number 7 on the scale. It's also a 7, which sort of means that instability. You're then kind of put all of those things together for your interpretation. And the devil is interesting here because it's got 2 little imps chained, and they don't look super concerned about it. They're pretty happy staring at their devil. Like, yep, I will do whatever my devil tells me to do. And the devil is making a face kind of like mocking them almost. So, you know, this contrasted with this, it's sort of like, don't fall into groupthink or get sucked into the masses, what the pressures of society might be influencing you to think or agree to. Here's my 2 of Coins entry. We've got the keyword duality, 2 tangible elements, projects or options, collaborating while keeping someone at arm's length, advancing with an indirect route. And you can see that in the image, right? This route may not be straightforward. Multitasking, evolving situation, moving parts. Narrow down your options to avoid being overwhelmed. So see how you get quite a variety with those 3 different sources. And obviously, if you did something like this, pick your own sources that you prefer. These are just the ones that I really got on with. So if we go back to our image here, the other thing to think about in this sort of open reading style is the elements of 2, or the numbers that you're seeing. So we've got 2 imps and we've got 2 coins. And then it's sort of like that balancing or duality. And then we've got 1 standing alone and then 2 rows of 3. So these are in harmony and very aligned, and this one is sort of the odd one out. And then we have strength here, and we have sort of a infinity symbol and another one in the hat. So that's kind of interesting. So I would say, stand strong in your relationship to others as they engage you and try and influence you. But balance what you know and believe, because you don't want to be so closed-minded as to not learn something new. So obviously we're all influenced by various things, but I would say this interpretation is saying, hold steady to what you care about, because again, that's a card of emotions, but be practical in as far as when you hear from others, and take heed or be careful with the various opinions and noises and voices coming at you from all directions, and what their biases might be and what their pressures are. So that's just a little taste of how you might interpret a Marseille reading like this. And again, a lot of just like things that helped me were a lot of demo readings with my friend, or watching other demo readings online, the materials themselves, reading with several different styles of decks so you can see how they would read. So a lot of times Lulu and I would interpret each other's cards, or one of us would pull some cards and then the other person would pull the matching cards in their deck, so we can compare the corresponding images too. So that's a really great way to do it. I certainly wasn't like Marseille only for a year. I read with tons of other things, but I did try and immerse myself, and it was a lot of fun. We were going to finish up, in June and July, the majors, and I'm hoping to get this thing finished sooner rather than later, and then scan all of these, or I don't even know how I want to do it, but I'm really enjoying the meditative, have all three resources, and then look at the same card and compare them and write down what really stands out to me. That's just also a really great exercise in general. I hope you enjoyed this brief recap of my Marseille it went from Marseille for May to Marseille all day for a whole year, and it's been really lovely, and I really enjoy this reading style, this card system, and it has absolutely influenced how I read any tarot deck, which I really enjoy and appreciate. Thanks so much for watching, and take care.